Hi, I'm Matt with SaratogaWine.com, and today we're going to talk about Rosé.
Great wine.
Better prices.
Delivered right to your door.
SaratogaWine.com.
For years, rosé in this country has had a terrible reputation. And that's mainly because in the 60s and 70s, bulk winemakers were churning out sweet pink wines that were actually pretty terrible. A lot of people confuse rosé with white Zinfandel as well, whereas rosé is almost always bone dry. Rosé started its renaissance in the early 20-teens, and by 2015 it had really exploded. It's not even that uncommon now to find a wine shop that actually carries more rosé than Chardonnay. There are three predominant ways of making rosé. The first is direct press. That's where the grapes are just pressed and the juice is immediately pulled off. This results in the lightest colored rosé, which you see here. It also results in lower tannins, and it's very commonly the method used in the south of France, Provence and Bandol. The second method is skin maceration. That's where the grapes are pressed and left in the vat with their skins for anywhere between 2 and 48 hours. Leads to a much darker red, more tannins, firmer grip, and actually both of these are examples of skin maceration. The third method is actually kind of the most interesting because it was an accident. Red wine makers would often bleed off a certain amount of juice early on just to concentrate what was remaining for their red. And a lot of times that was just thrown away. At some point, winemakers just started bottling this pink runoff and started selling it. I'm with my colleague Keely today, and we are going to taste through three completely different price point, different region, different country rosés, starting with the 2021 Oliveras, which is 100% Grenache. It is made in the macerated method, so it sits on its skins for a while. It's got just gobs of fruit. I mean, raspberries and cherries, a little bit of, I don't know, honeysuckle, some sort of flower. Kind of a citrusy finish to it. Huh? I like it.
I like it a lot. Easy to drink, very delicious.
Under $10.
Next, we are going to try the Daniel Crochet Rosé Sancerre 2021, which is 100% Pinot Noir. And as you can see by the color, it's a beautiful raspberry, darker pink color. On the note, there's fruit, berries, maybe a little bit of a floral note. Very fresh, very inviting.
What makes this really interesting is this winemaker only makes reds, right? And this is the vintage that he couldn't make red, so he turned it all into rosé. So this might be the first and only time he does that.
When you get into it, it's very minerally, very complex, lots of layers. I think it's an excellent rosé.
Right. And finally, the big boy, Domaine Haut Romassin, which, as you can see by the color, direct press. It has, you could almost mistake that for like a Pinot Grigio for color. This is a little harder to find, quite a bit more expensive. It has opened up a lot. Early on, just because of direct press, it didn't have much of a nose, but it's definitely come around. You can smell lots of minerality in that, like earthy stones. There's definitely wood present. Like there's no mistaking. It's a completely different style. I mean,
it's very refined and it's very elegant.
It's, yeah, I would go with that. It's not what you would expect. It's not heavily fruit forward. It's much more minerally driven. Also interesting, very interesting.
Interesting rosé for sure.
Well, I think that's our lineup. I think you can tell by the fill of the bottles maybe which one we liked the most, but who knows.